Back in 2002, I remember my dad getting these pamphlets or these little cards in his mailbox, and it would be advertising a wrestling show that was a weekly pay per view. And he would always dismiss it because he felt like it was just, they were just bringing up old stars that nobody cared about. And they showed guys on the little thing like Piper and Scott Hall and, those guys. That was for TNA Wrestling. I was only 11 years old at the time. And, it's kind of surreal that you fast forward to 14 years later, really close to 15, and this company has stuck around for this long, but the end may finally be near for TNA Wrestling. There's a new report from Dave Meltzer stating that TNA still needs money to fund the biggest pay-per-view of the year, Bound for Glory. Just think about that for a second. Could you imagine if the WWE needed funds for WrestleMania? And the wrestling industry as a whole would crumble. But this is what TNA is going through right now, and this week could very well change the course of history in the wrestling industry. Because Dave Meltzer is reporting that even though Billy Corgan is still trying to work out owning TNA Wrestling, WWE is still in play to purchase them as well. If WWE ends up winning out on that bid, TNA will be no longer. There is no way WWE is going to have TNA running when they've already got NXT and they've already got the SmackDown and Raw brand splits. They're not going to do the whole SmackDown Raw ECW thing because ECW would just get lost in the shuffle. They already have 3 brands that you can watch. And the sole purpose of them purchasing TNA, if they actually achieve it, would be solely for their library so they can hype up Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and Eric Young and Bobby Roode and kind of put them over, as well as acquire some of their talent. They probably have hopes to get back James Storm and maybe, hopefully, if TNA ends up going by the wayside, getting EC3 and Drew Galloway and righting the wrong with them. I think it's a little too soon for them to realize that they fucked up with Sandow. But, yeah, this is very alarming that TNA needs to make a decision about where their finances are by Friday, because if they do not have the funds for Bound for Glory on Friday, you can pretty much guarantee that this company is gone. And it's crazy to think that this could be the week that TNA finally goes. You've heard year after year after year people saying this is going to be the year TNA dies. This is going to be the year TNA dies. But Pandora Energy and Dixie Carter, they just kept pumping money into this company. And really wasn't generating money. Really weren't seeing that money back and then some. So it's unfortunate for the wrestling industry as a whole, especially, could you imagine if Bound for Glory doesn't go on and TNA falls by the wayside, and you had them building up Cody Rhodes, and, Cody Rhodes is now without a job. I mean, obviously he wouldn't have trouble finding work, but you get it. He was with the number 2 promotion in America, that is. A lot of people consider New Japan Pro Wrestling to be the number 2 promotion in the world, but that's besides the point. Number 2 in America at the very least, and they just tell them, yeah, we're not going to go through with this because we can't go on with anything, period. What about a guy like Damian Sandow, who was released from WWE and found this big opportunity in TNA? They pushed him as Aaron Rex. They have a good storyline going on with him and Drew Galloway, and Drew turning heel because of jealousy, and they're fighting for, I guess, the equivalent of the Intercontinental title or the United States title, somewhere along those lines, with some special rules added into them, and it's called the TNA Grand Championship. What about that? What about Moose, who had left ROH for what he believed to be greener pastures in TNA? and they've been pushing him too. Same thing with his opponent at Bound for Glory, Mike Bennett, and his wife Maria. They left ROH for the greener pastures that they thought would be in TNA. I think it's pretty obvious they were offered more money, and more eyeballs would be on them, because there's just more people watching the product, because there's more people on the television station that they're on Pop TV. So this is going to be a very interesting week for TNA Wrestling. It could very well be the end of TNA Wrestling, so you better relive those good moments and hope that your favorite talent in TNA gets a spot in WWE, or they become successful in the Indies, or maybe even New Japan Pro Wrestling, because if the financial situation doesn't get better, and I'm hearing it's pretty dire right now, TNA is going to be gone.